Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twilight Epiphanies Talk Radio with Cindy Magnuson, and the show is about to begin. So, slow down, take a seat, put your feet up, and maybe take some notes, because this show is about you, it's for you, and it is designed to help you receive exactly what you need to be a happier and healthier you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 28 of Twilight Epiphanies Radio and show number 6 in the Twilight Epiphanies Honor Roll series. Tonight, I am featuring Lars Fletcher, otherwise known as Lars Fletcher, a graphics designer and illustrator and owner of LarsVision. Lars joins me tonight to share his rich work history and the influences in his life that brought him to where he is today in his vision for the world of graphic art. He will be talking to us regarding how his current career focus is moving away from commercial art and towards his personal work and the way of creating picture books, graphic novels, and visual interactive content such as games and interactive picture books. And as we begin, I'd like to say that one of my favorite parts of doing these shows is it gives me a reason to learn a little bit more about the people whom I have met on Facebook and have touched some aspect of me in a significant way that moves me in a feeling sense. So early on in friending one another on Facebook, Lars shared some of my work that I had posted, and he commented very generously as to the level of perspective he saw in my work, which is not something that new friends tend to do. So I immediately connected to his sincerity, his genuineness, and his gentleness, as well as his own sense of security. I invited Lars as I watched him developing his website, his new career direction, and sharing his very amazing graphic art in his posts. And here, and in his acceptance to join me on the show, I had that greater reason to look more deeply at the humble man behind the phenomenal artwork. So I'd like to start here with a little bit of Lars' unique work experiences and accomplishments. Lars studied at both the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, California. He has an associate's in art at the college at Sherman Oaks, California, and also an associate's degree in liberal arts from the Los Angeles City College of Advertising and Design, and he studied fine arts and illustration at the California State University, Long Beach. He has worked as a professional illustrator since 1984. His specialty is in expressing ideas and telling stories through visual art. In his professional experience, he worked as a creative consultant and illustrator for Walt Disney Imagineering, where he worked on 3D modeling, rendering, developed NURBS and polygons models, which he will have to explain to me because I don't really have any idea what he's talking about there, where he also did detailed texturing and lighting for conceptualizing Disney theme park installations. He worked alongside concept artists, show producers, and architects to produce 3D imagery and graphics for pre-production. He also worked as a production design illustrator for New Line Cinema, where he worked on Lost in Space, the trailer EFX, where he worked with the producer to design key art and creative looks for special FX sequences. He directed a team of 3D animators and motion graphic artists for the final EFX sequence. He was an illustrator for Vic Takai Games, which is Nintendo Game Boy, where he designed and illustrated fantasy art and action-adventure themes for packaging covers such as Aerostar, Clash at Demon Head, Conflict, Imperium, Kid Cool, and much more. He was broadcast designer for Made in Hollywood TV, where he designed 3D animation and produced the Broadcast Motion Graphics Toolkit. He provided production boards, animatics, 3D animation for main title sequencing, etc., and much more. And basically a lot of words that are a little tongue-twisting for me because they are new to me. So I very much enjoy this. So with that introduction, I'm going to open up the line and bring Lars on the show. Hello there, Lars. Welcome.
Hello. Hi, Cindy. How are you?
I am good. Good and raring to go. I made it through some of those tongue twisters.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. I mean, I'm impressed with myself now. That was a good introduction. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. So again, this is an interesting venue for me to be working in this show tonight because this is an area that I'm not as familiar with. So some of these technical words are new to me. I can, start to put them in their proper places and see what they are. And it gives me an appreciation for when I start sometimes talking about my lingo in one of the areas I'm in and someone's head's going, what did you just say? so yeah. I'm very much looking forward to you sharing with me and all of this interesting experience and where you're going. So can we begin with your childhood influences? Did you always know that you were interested in being an artist and working in this type? Okay. And how did that start?
Yeah, my uncle who owned the house that we lived in, but they lived in the back, and he was an artist. Well, he actually was a steel worker, but he did artwork, on his own time. He wasn't a professional artist. He just did it as a hobby. So, and he had artwork on his wall. Like all his walls were just covered with his own pictures. So I'm like 4 years old running around, and then I see these pictures of, I'm like, and one picture just popped up. It was like, he did a picture of Emmett Kelly, the clown with the big round nose, and he looked like a hobo. But it was done in graphite, and it was beautiful. I mean, I could still see the shiny lead where he pressed really hard to get the really black color, so you could almost see it as a painting. To me, it was a painting in graphite, and that's when I fell in love with it. I was like 4, I think I was like 4 years old. I don't think I was in school yet, and so my older, because for some reason I grew up around older kids that were like 2 years older than me. So I was complaining to them about, like, I got to do this. They didn't know what I was talking about. So, but I knew that for some reason I knew that I had to get this to somebody to show me how to do this. So they finally got the message to my uncle, and he sat me down for like 5 seconds and took a pencil out and showed me something. Then he walked away. Like he didn't know I was really serious about it. He was like, I'm trying to draw. And he's like, here, get out of here, kid, So,
yeah. Wow.
And then that was it. But it didn't, that's when I knew I wanted to be an artist, but I still didn't know what it was. It's amazing how, you can go through and kind of know, but not know. So it wasn't until the 4th grade that I saw my friends drawing, and they were all drawing with like graphite pencils, and they were copying photographs from a monster magazine like Frankenstein and Wolfman and Dracula. And I said, this is it. This is what. So it took me to the 4th grade to actually figure out what I needed to do. So then it was over. I mean, the rest is history. So I started drawing like every day, every hour. I was just obsessed with it. And then the second thing that kicked in is when I showed my mother. And then, my mother gives me the reward affirmation thing, oh, that's so nice. I love it. So when your mother rewards you, that's like God rewarding you, It's like, I got to do more of this, so now my drawing just doubles up, I'm like, okay, Mom, here you go. So she kind of like, learned how to wean me from that, so it was just, from that point on, I was just a regular kid drawing. My neighbor across the street he made his own comic books, and he was like a year older than me, and he was drawing full-blown comic books. Now, they were crude, but he would draw them from cover to back, like all the panels and everything. But he didn't draw, like I wanted to draw realistically, like photographically realistically. And he was drawing like these sketches that he colored them in, and they were action-packed, and the what you call the speech balloons and the dialogue balloons and everything. So, and he was fast. He would make a comic book like in a couple of days, So that kind of like opened my doorway into like different dimensions into the art world, because I was always thinking about like portraits, because it was like the portrait of Emmett Kelly, then a portrait of Frankenstein, and a portrait of Dracula. So I'm drawing everybody's portraits, and this guy showed me you can write stories,
Mm-hmm.
So okay. So then it was just, after that, it was just like regular. I became like the, I guess not the school artist, but the class artist. Even the guys who drew better than me, they gave me the crown. They were like, because I was doing it more. I was more passionate about it. So they kind of gave me the baton and said, okay, you're the class artist, So then, and that was all in Buffalo, New York. And then in the 8th grade, my father moved to California, and then about a year later, we got the call to come out there, and so I came out to live with my father, and I went to school out here. Okay, so the school system is different, the art program is different, the students are different, the way people think about art is different. So I got exposed to that. I mean, and it was just, these kids were drawing like larger than life portraits of Shakespeare,
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
yeah,
that opened up, and so there was a lot of things going on, and also I joined the boys club here in Pasadena, and they were doing crafts. I was able to get into the woods and craft things, so that was beautiful. I support, facilities like that for our community. I mean, to have kids where they can go someplace and explore different crafts, or even learning music. I mean, just after school. I mean, it's just great. So that's basically my beginning, because after that, after high school, it became, more of a curriculum. It became more like, I got to get a good grade, so it became more serious, which is not, it wasn't bad, but it became like, now the journey was being dictated to me as me just kind of like going with the flow. It was good, you need discipline and everything. So, regular high school thing, just doing projects. I was, got a lot of pats on the back from, fellow students and the teachers. Everybody liked my work, and, then I joined the Army, kind of just to, like, okay, I got to do something now. After I got out of high school, it's like, what am I going to do? And it was kind of a struggle for me for college, because I needed to have certain things that I didn't, money, and know how to get money and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of like, look, let me just go ahead and get this Army thing done and travel. It was kind of like the travel thing for me with the Army. I went to Germany. And then when I went in the Army as a medic, but when I got in, I kind of like found my way to navigate, like where I can get into do different things. So I got into the service club, where you can, where you can explore your creativity. They had like workshops there, and wood shops and all kinds of stuff. So I got in there, and I broke out some painting, got an easel, and I would go paint every night after I got off work from what I was doing with the Army. And then, my battalion sergeant not my battalion sergeant, but my, platoon sergeant is like, look, dude, you can go over here and just sign up with the battalion art department. And there was like one guy there, and they put me in this room with him with like 4 desks. It was like empty, and I became the assistant to the battalion artist for my last year in the Army.
Yeah.
So, and that was great. That was, it was just regular work. The work wasn't anything phenomenal. We made big signs and flyers and stuff like that. And I did on the side. I did portraits. Got $20, per portrait that I did. And I did maybe a couple. Half a dozen, through a course of a year, but it was just the fun of just being able to do my thing and explore my own creativity. And so fast forward to when I got my first real job as an artist. I was working at a place called the Mailing House, putting mail in the bags and, putting them on trucks. And I got, I used to read a newspaper like every day looking for work, and it was a job opening for an artist at an embroidery company. And I went in there, they looked at my portfolio, they knew I was qualified. I had to train. It took me about 2 weeks to pick up the work. Got in there and I worked there. I did embroidery work for like 4 years, but I only worked for that company for like a year. And that was really good training. It was, I don't want to go into the detail of the work. It was laying out how embroidery works, but at 6 times the size, because you have to do it because the machine scales it down. So if a patch is like 3 inches, we would have to make it 18 inches large. So it's like making a big cartoon, a big poster with the lettering and a cartoon character. If it's the Mickey Mouse thing, we'd have to draw a large Mickey Mouse, and we'd do it in an hour. All of these envelopes had to be done like an hour, so you had to be really fast. So that gave me the discipline to really just produce. Not think about like, oh, I don't feel creative today, or I don't know what to draw, or, what if I did it like this or that? No, you get down, get it done, get on to the next one. It's work.
Sure.
So, but it was fun. There was not a moment that I didn't love about what I was doing. It was crazy. I was getting paid for having fun,
Yeah.
So then I started doing freelance work with the embroidery company. I was working at home, and then I started doing freelance work with T-shirt company, and just building, getting more clients, letting go of lesser paid clients, getting more complex work, and then just moving up. So that's kind of like how I got started.
Yeah. That's a wonderful foundation. How interesting. And then your education was your associate's degrees in that were during that time. And then what led you into your first position, let's say, with Disney? Was that one of the first companies that you began to work with that was on that scale?
Well, yeah, the scale is kind of like Disney is I would say it is the largest art company in the world. So if you're working for Disney, you are working for the largest artistic company in the world. Now they're commoditized, they have their own vision and so forth, but in terms of the amount of work they do, the quality of work they do, the quality of the people there, the level of pay that they pay their people, I think that they pay them well. I don't think that they're anywhere near cheap, like some people might say. I've heard people complain about what Disney pays. I don't get it. And so I have nothing negative to say about Disney. I'm not going to talk about politics. I mean, that's a different thing. But
sure.
in terms of working
Understood.
for them, in terms of working for them, the people that I worked for, the work that I did, and the amount of money that I got paid, it was great. And I worked at home. I worked as a contractor, so I worked at home my own time. I just had to do the work on time, so I had to deliver on time. So, and how I got that job is that, which this is going to cover a little bit of our discussion, but I was working freelance on my own, and I don't remember, but I got the wind of I knew about art reps, where you get a person. And art reps usually come in companies. Like there's an art company called Artisan Creative, and they have a battery of art reps that have connections with art industry, with companies like Industrial Light and Magic, the gaming industry. So they would make these business connections, and they would supply artists. So I went with a company called Artisan Creative, and they liked my portfolio, and they said, well, we're going to go out and get, see if we can get you work. And they did. And after a couple of smaller jobs, and they got me hooked up with Disney. And I worked for Disney for, I think, like 10 years, all under the umbrella of Artisan. And Artisan actually, they gave up the contract, which they said they would do. Like after 2 years, they said, like, we're going to let you, that's going to be your contract now. I don't know why they do that, out of the generosity of their heart, but that's what it was. And
wow.
So that meant I got all of the money that they were going to get, which was like 25%. So it was like a 25% raise after they let go of the contract. So,
wow.
So I recommend anybody that's serious about being in the art world, that the paradigm is shifting now, but if we just go based on that paradigm, get a rep to shop your work, go with, just figure out what that is. A lot of people say this about the publishing industry. Like if you're going to write a book, a children's book, a lot of people think about self-publishing, but if you haven't really thought about getting a rep or a book publisher, a book publishing rep or anything like that, really dig into that, do some research and find out what it's about, because you may find that you don't want to do self-publishing. You don't want to shop your own work. There's a lot of reasons for it. One of it is that you're not shopping around. You're at home doing artwork, and you got somebody else shopping around. They're going to take 25%. And the other side of that is that if you're going out there getting your own jobs and you're doing your own negotiating, how well are you negotiating? Are you getting, $25 an hour or $50 an hour? Because your rep, I guarantee, whatever you can get, whatever you think you can get in a negotiating scenario, your rep is probably going to be able to get twice as much as that. And then they're only going to take 25%, which is going to actually give you 25% more of what you would probably get. And that's just a rough guesstimate, but that's the way to think of it, because, it's just industry it's a moving target. If you don't know the ins and outs of it, you're not going to be able to take full advantage of it. So, having a rep is, and the other thing about having a rep, if you're selling your artwork, is that here's the thing: if you can't get a rep, you have to ask yourself why. Because maybe your work really isn't good enough. So that's not to say you can't get work, but the level of work that you're going to get is going to be to the standard of the quality that you're already capable of doing, which may be very, very good. Like that's what happened to me. I was able to get work for a silkscreen company because I was able to do T-shirt designs very well. But to take that same level of creativity to Disney is like, that's nice. T-shirts, great. Dime a dozen. But if you can do, like, if you can design an amusement theme park, within a couple of days, and Disney's like, that's what we need. So, but how do you get that work? Well, Disney is not going to be inclined to talk to individual artists. They know about how to deal with agencies and reps, and so they already have that kind of like process to get artists. Now it changes. I'm not saying that this is the only way, and it is not the only way, but it depends on you just want to look at it. You just want to take it under consideration and see how it works, because it may be something that you want. Because I don't like negotiating. I don't like hunting around for work. I would rather pay somebody, 25% and get all that done, and now all I have to do is sit at home and do creative work. So, some people don't want to let go of that 25%. And they make less. They make less.
Oh, I think that's a great door opener right there, and certainly a brand new concept that many haven't considered. So very well described and very helpful for others, certainly. So you worked for 10 years then and gathered all that experience. And where did you move to after Disney then?
Well, Well, I worked with different companies. Well, during the time I was working with Disney, I was working with several other companies, and that's actually the time I worked with Studio Production, who was working for New Line Cinema. So
okay.
I didn't work directly with New Line Cinema. I worked with the production company that did the trailer, who was Studio Production, who was headed by Steven Sauper, and he got me to do the production boards, the storyboards, and some of the 3D modeling for the title sequence effects, the trailer sequence effects. So I had several jobs like that, and Artisan was still getting me other work other than working for Disney. And then I had my own thing, and there was another company that I was working for, who I worked for like almost 20 years, which was ICANN Advertising. And we did a lot of work, mostly locally in Los Angeles with, local businesses. And we did a lot of, just tons and tons of graphics and most of the work that I did for them was pre-visualization work, because they wanted to see what the product, they wanted to see labels, but they wanted to see what it looked like as a finished product. So I was able to do that because I work really fast in 3D, and I can mock up a photographic realistic package so it looks finished. And when you show that to the client, they're like, wow, okay, that's it. So they're not looking at sketches or flat labels. They're actually looking at something that looks like a finished photograph of their product. So yeah, I was doing a lot of work. What happened was that I met this kid who wanted to talk to me about artwork and career and stuff. And, I'm like, okay, let's talk. So, and he told me what he was doing, and he told me that he was, looking into licensing, and I didn't know what he was talking about.
So how very nice you were open. Yeah.
Yeah. So I basically glossed over it, like I didn't, we were talking about a bunch of different things. So when he said licensing, I kind of drew the conversation back to what we were talking about. So, but I had to go home and like, licensing, what the heck is he talking about? So I looked it up, and then I'm like, oh, so this is intellectual property. This is where you create your own, your own cartoon character, your own theme. It could be anything. It could be like I'm going to do a chakra app that shows you how to dial into your chakras and make adjustments. It tells you how to do, it helps you to do a reading, and then it tells you where your imbalances are or where you need to make adjustments, and then it helps you to actually make those adjustments. So, but that product is my product. Okay, it's not for Disney. It's not for New Line Cinema. It's solely my product, and then that way I can market it the way that I want, to whoever I want, forever, how long I want, and generate the revenue as much as I want, less the cost of doing business. So then I can take that brand, if it becomes a brand, let's say it's called Expand Your Vision, Expand Your Chakra Vision or whatever, and then I start branding that identity, and that brand becomes a name like Nike, or so, Nike could sell a beverage if it wanted to, like drink Gatorade Nike or whatever, because of their brand, they could sell whatever, they could sell a car, with a Nike logo on it, So once you create a what's called an intellectual property, like Star Wars is an intellectual property. Most people know it as a movie, or as a game, but it is intellectual property because of what you can do with it. You can expand it. You can grow different things on it. Okay, so licensing is the vehicle that allows you to do that. Because if you were to say, if let's take Industrial Light and Magic, for example, or let's take Lucasfilms, who make Star Wars. If Star Wars wanted to make some T-shirts and sell them, they could go to a T-shirt printer and order 1 million shirts, get an artist to design them, and so on, and spend, $20 million to print up, 20 million shirts, and then sell them for $10 a piece and make $200 million back, So, but they don't even have to do that. They can go to a T-shirt company who is in the business of licensing, and that company will be glad to say, yeah, we'll handle it for you. And they will just pay Industrial Light or George Lucas or whoever, write them a check for the rights to print those shirts for them. So it's I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, I could explain it a different way, but the idea is that just talking about my journey. So the idea is that I said, well, listen, because I already had a vision of my own intellectual property. I knew I wanted to make a children's book. I knew I wanted to make a game. I knew I wanted to make I would love to make a movie. I mean, that's, a cartoon, an animated series, a science fiction movie. I have all this stuff that I want to do, but I'm thinking that I have to make a deal and go in and talk to these people to, like, say, give me the okay, and yeah, we like it and we'll help you out kind of a thing, or no, we don't like it and you're done, get out of here. But when you have intellectual property, that turns the table.
Oh, boy. Yes.
Yeah, because I can just do one product. Like, I can make an iPhone, and I taught myself programming. I already have 2 iPhones out. I have one that I did all work, everything myself, 100%. And I did it just to see if I was able to do it, so I can move forward with it. But I can make an app that if it becomes popular. That "if" is a very big word, but the idea is that I can make a hot product, and then people will be calling me up saying, "Hey, look, we see your app, man. You're rocking here, man. We want to do some shirts for you, or we want to do some cups or some gear," and they will just write me a check, so that they have the permission to do it, because they're going to be using my name that I'm branding. Whether it's LarsVision, which I won't use that on a product. I will use the name of the product to brand the product, or the name of the story. I will use the name of the story to use as a branding mechanism, and then that will get out there to the licensing community. They actually have a show. I think it's called Magic. It's a licensing industry trade show. They have one twice a year. There's like one twice a year. Can you say it like that? They have it semi-annually or something like that, or whatever. But I think it's when one is in New York and one is in Las Vegas. And if you invest the money, you go to the show and you get your table and you make yourself available to people, and they come there just looking for you, like, they come there looking for a product that they can tap into. So you have so the people that do licensing, there's like 1,000 companies. You have like 100 T-shirt companies, 100 school supply companies, 200 apparel companies. You have printed materials. So you have all these companies that will go. I mean, they actually go to Disney and try to get the best deal to say, look, we want to print up, we want to manufacture your dolls for you, and we'll pay you to do that. And then Disney's like, well, we got 3 other doll manufacturers that got, we got to offer from them. What's your offer? So now they're fighting for Disney to give them the deal. Disney not trying to pay somebody. Disney's trying to get the check. So that's the position you want to think about. If you're an artist and you have some product and you're trying to get yourself, you could be working for other people, doing work for them, making them a lot of money, and they're writing you a check for the labor that you do. That's great. But what can you do? Do you have a character that you're trying to make? Can you make a children's book? Can you make some accessories? A cap, with a little doll face on it, like Hello Kitty. What do you have a character like that? So the field is wide open. Yeah, it's about creativity. It's about how are you bringing any value to the marketplace, but it's really about how smart you are. Mm-hmm. It's really about how smart you are, because if you look at, I'll give you another example. My favorite example is Charles Schulz, the guy who created Peanuts. Those characters. Mm-hmm. So they're little bald-headed kids, right? Except for Lucy. But these, this took several years, but not Peanuts, but Charles Schulz he's passed now, but his intellectual property, which is still intellectual property, somebody owns it. It's probably handed down to somebody in his family, and so forth. That's $1 billion company.
Mm.
$1 billion company revenue grossing at least $1 billion. I think it's like $4 billion gross. So net, I don't know what net is, but gross, that's still somebody's making money off.
Wow.
These little bald-headed kids that you don't have to. It's not like you have to draw like for hours, like to get. I gotta put my lifeblood into this piece of artwork in order for somebody to believe in me. No. What you got to do is do you. That's number one. You don't want to overwork. The last thing you want to do is overwork yourself, because it doesn't matter. In fact, you can actually kill your product by overworking it.
Mm.
It just looks, this is heavy. This is too serious. This is, oh my God, lighten up. Have fun. But the smartness comes when doing the work to get it into the marketplace. You ought to know how to navigate it. And they actually have, they don't call them reps. In the licensing industry, you have the licensor, which is you and your artwork or you and your story or whatever, and then you have the licensee, the people that pay you to use it for their products. So you have the licensor and the licensee. But in between there, you have licensing brokers, and they're just like the art reps. Get a licensing broker. So now, look, I'm read up on all this stuff. I'm still trying to put it together. So I got to tell you that out front. So, don't look for my stuff in the marketplace, but it's going to happen.
It is. So, it definitely. You can feel it in there. So your company, both you are working on your own products, and then do you also help other people with their products so that they get licensed? Is that how it works? So you have kind of a dual purpose. You're working on your own while you help other people to do this in your company, LarsVision.
Yes, that is the ideal situation. I get people to, they'll call me up and want me to do their children's book for them. Okay. Do the artwork for their children's book, or they have a product that they're trying to launch. Say they want to do, they want to make cases for cell phones, and they want to have artwork on it. They want to have, let's say, esoteric, sacred geometry artwork on it, and so they're going to do a line of like 12 pieces, and they're going to pay me to do the artwork and so forth, and I'll do it. And okay, but I'm going to give you the nitty gritty of it. That's doable, and people do that, and people make money like that. And I'm going to do a little rant here, but here's what I run into a lot. Is that there are people who have these ideas, good ideas that can make millions of dollars. But what they don't have is a plan. Mm. And so when they have an idea, if it's art related, the first thing that they look for is that how can I get an artist? So they don't have a plan, and actually they don't have any money, really. I mean, they do have money, but they don't understand what they're doing, so they don't put a value on what they're doing, and if they don't put a value on what they're doing, they're not going to put any money into it. Because artwork, to get it done right, is actually very expensive. Okay, to get it done properly, it takes time to do it right, and it takes a good artist to do it for you. So you need a budget to do that, and then you need to find the right artist. We can talk about that later if you remind me, Cindy, to talk about how to find a good artist. I can bring that up later.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, so when people come to me, initially I would just do the work, get the check, send them on their way. But I found out that people, a lot of times, there's two sides of this. One, I was struggling with people for money, and I didn't like that. So I said, this is not cool. I got to figure out what's going on here. And the other thing is that they probably wouldn't go anywhere after they'd have everything printed up. It was like, they have all this product that wasn't moving anywhere because they didn't have a marketing plan. They didn't have any plan. They just had, let's get the artwork done and let's see what happens.
Sure.
And it's like, no, marketing. So that's how I started figuring the situation out. Because I had to come to the conclusion that I just would not work with people who didn't have it together, because I could make the money, but it'd be like I'm really wasting my time. I'm getting paid to waste my time. And that's not who I am. I'd rather sit at home and do nothing for nothing than to do a bunch of artwork, get paid, but it ends up not going anywhere. You get the point. It really turns out to be the same thing. Even though you're getting paid to do artwork, if the artwork doesn't go anywhere, you just did something that died. You got paid to do something that died, and that's not good for an artist ever. Your artwork needs to live. That's currency. That's how you grow in this universe. Is your work lives. It doesn't die. Okay. So what I started to do is I would hint around to people and I say, well, do you have a business plan? You know, that would be like the first thing I would kind of hint around to see where they're at. And most of 90% of the time it would be, you know, like, what are you talking about? You know, and so when they don't have a business plan, it means they don't have a budget. They don't have a budget. They don't know what the value of my work is because they just don't know. So I would automatically start pushing back. I'm like, well, you know, here we go. Okay, call me later. And because I just didn't want to waste my time. And a lot of those people, I would struggle with them because of if I got involved, if I got entangled with them, it would be a nightmare because they start whining about the money. You know, it's like, why does it cost so much? And I'm like, you know, do you whine to when you go to buy your car? You know, do you can't whine about people who in their profession. Stop it. Okay, so my rant is over.
Yeah, but understood.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So people really, if you're out there and you want to get work done, do a little planning, enjoy the process. It's a fun thing to do, and the magic will happen for you if you're doing it the right way. Believe me, you'll get the rhythm. You know, it'll kick in, and you say, "Oh, I didn't know I could do it like this." And so now to bring it full circle about this licensing thing is that when I'm dealing with people, I try to show them my value and beyond just the artwork, because they need to understand the value. If they're going to be paying me like $5,000 to do a children's book for them, you know, and they know they're going to make a profit and all this kind of stuff, but they're only looking at that one thing. And it's funny, you know, because a lot of people, they just want to I just want to do a children's picture book. I just want to do a children's picture book. But they're not looking at the intellectual property, the potential to license it. So now here's the difference. A lot of artists don't know. I was an artist for like 30 years before I really understood what licensing was. 30 years. Okay. So a lot of artists don't know this. So when you go to hire an artist, they don't have a clue. But I do. So when I talk to people, I say, okay, look, this is what we have here. You have the children's book, and then I introduce to them about licensing into intellectual property and so forth and so on. And, you know, some people, they know that, but they're actually kind of like, you know, a window will open up to say, oh, but you know this too, you know. So, I know it too. So they know that I know I'm bringing value to it. So that takes out a lot of the drama out of our relationship. Like, I know how to help you make money because I know what you need to do. It's not just a short vision of making it. When you're designing characters, you want these characters to be able to be expansive. So you're not just designing a character for a picture book, but how would that character apply if you want to make an iPhone app or a game, or you want to make some apparel or something like that, you know. And you don't have to get that serious about it. You just have to kind of know it intuitively and just be aware of it, because if you're not, you can inadvertently design something like, wow, this character is really good, man. He's really, really, look at that. But then when you get to the next level, like a year later, and you have this character, but it doesn't work on a certain thing, like a black background, and it needs to work on a black background. So it's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So you got to go in. You can redesign the character. I'm just trying to give you a hypothetical. So,
but I'm sure you've had all these experiences take place, and that's why a professional makes this big of a difference.
Yeah. It's important to have people, like if you're working with an artist, and this goes back into how to find the right artist. You know, any artist can do the work. If you look at their portfolio, just look at it, and it looks like they can do the work. They can do the work. Okay, but that's just their portfolio that you're looking at. You have not looked at their production process. How long does it take? How reliable are they? What do they know about the printing process when you need to take it and get it ready to go to the printer? So there's an array of things that built around the product that you're creating as an entrepreneur or a publisher, or you may be an artist yourself and you may need somebody to work with you. You want to know more about this artist than just the level and the quality of his artwork. The key to it is understanding the character of the artist. Because if you say character, you're going to cover everything. Is this person reliable? Is he honest? Is he willing to work hard? Is he willing to take chances? And all this kind of stuff that you need. It's not the character. It's not a good or bad character. It's just the type of character that's going to work right with you. Is it a good fit? That's what you need to know. You can't just be on the surface and say, "Oh, he does good artwork and it's a good fit." No. That's not it. That's superficial. So you want to take the time, and I think that the key to it is stepping back. When you're interviewing people, you can interview like 5 artists, within 15 minutes. Just look at their portfolio, take some notes, and then the artist that you like, it's just one. But don't hire him right away. Have another meeting with him, take him, go to lunch with him, get acquainted with him sincerely, and you don't have to be deceptive about it. It's like, look, we want to familiarize you with this job. Why don't you come in? We're just going to talk. We're not going to start any work yet. We just want to see where your head is at, and you develop a relationship with them, as much as you can to you really want to understand, is this person going to work with you? Because I've been in situations where I've worked on projects where people have hired other artists that were not capable, and that project just died. Mm-hmm. Because they didn't do the work to get the right artist. I mean, I have a track record of completing jobs, probably thousands of jobs that were completed on time and on budget. So that's not going to be a problem with me. But there are people out there now, artists that have just come out of school, that have had no experience in real world work. They have a beautiful portfolio. Some of them probably better than mine right now, but they have no work experience. And they have, and one of the things about work is the working relationship. It's not about a good person or a bad person. Like, some people want to have hands-on. They want to be over your shoulder. They want to tell you. They're basically going to turn you into a tool, which is, hey, that may not be for you. But if you work for Disney, a company like Disney, you're like, you're a tool, Okay. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're going to be working. You're not going to be doing. Well, I shouldn't say that. No, let me say that. Let me back off on that. They respect your creativity, but your creativity is not the end of it. They're going to have the end say in everything. And if they have to push you to be more creative, they're going to do that without blinking an eye. That's what some people have a hard time with Disney, because Disney will push you, and a lot of people can't take being pushed. I love it. I love being pushed because it makes my creativity better.
You do have a nice intensity, yeah. Yeah, you have a great intensity for it. I can feel it. It shows, and it's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. So,
Well, and it sounds like, the concepts you're talking about with intellectual property is so good for the artist and for anyone who is going to market something. So it sounds like, from what I'm receiving from it, it puts the owning of something, back into your hands, as opposed to letting so much go for others to take it away. You have those first ownership properties to produce off of it more, currency and income. So is that what you mean in changing the outlook of how these interactions, engagements with artwork being done took place before?
Well, when you decide to develop your own product, your own intellectual property, if you want to make a children's book, if you're an artist and you're going to make your own children's picture book, first of all, are you going to write it? So, but that's you're going to hire somebody, or how are you going to collaborate or whatever. But once you do that, now you are developing that person may not see it as their own intellectual property, but that's what it is. And so they, without even inadvertently, that's what they're making. Once they make their own product, that's called an intellectual property. They have ownership of something that can be put into the marketplace and distributed under many brands or umbrellas or products or whatever, and you have complete ownership of that. And that is what it's a business model, but it is a business, and it is like when you work for a company like Disney, you are getting art direction. You're not handling your payroll. They're going to write a check for you. A lot of the times the taxes are deducted. You can have that kind of arrangement. So you're basically doing artwork, and that's it. But when you have an intellectual property, you're doing everything. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I would say 75% of it is not artwork. 75%. And especially if you don't know anything about the industry, the learning curve is, if you just go at it, you can get a handle on it within 30 days. You can understand the industry and how it works, and less than 30 days really. I have 2 books that I read on it, and you could read one of those books in a couple days. But I would say 30 days to do some research, dig in. But and again, I haven't launched my product yet, and that's where each individual person is going to have their own gauge or their own tolerances for what they want to do, because I want to do a certain thing and I want to do it a certain way. That's my own stubbornness. We'll call it whatever you will. But every artist is going to have that. Even if it's only a little bit, you're going to be doing you. And so this opens up everything, because you could be a fine art painter. You could be a cartoon artist. You could be a logo maker. You could be a whatever kind of artist you could think of. If you're creating pictures, whether they be for a gallery where pictures are like 8 feet by 8 feet, or they're fingernail paintings for a beauty salon, that is your artwork. And you beyond the level of where you're initially doing it, if you're doing fingernail paintings, that is your initial product. Or if you're doing large scale paintings for galleries, that is your initial product. Then once you break off and start doing other things like T-shirts, posters, toys, whatever, those are licensing opportunities, and that opens up your platform. That opens up your marketplace. So it doesn't matter what you are, who you are as an artist. It could be anything. It's your creativity comes in. How can you expand into other marketplaces? And the simplest way to do that is to get a licensing broker who is a kind of a multifaceted licensing broker. Because you have licensing brokers that they may only focus on toys. Okay, so if you have a children's book, go after a licensing broker that focuses on toys. So he's going to have connections with Mattel, Hasbro, whatever, PlayStation, or not PlayStation, but Playmation, whatever, any toy company you could think of. So, but if you're an art gallery, if you're doing stuff in the gallery work, then maybe you want your stuff on the back of leather jackets. You want your paintings to be draped over, somebody's sofa couch, So now you've got to find a licensing broker that handles that. And so that's where the work comes in. And if you might have something that has never been done before, so now you got to convince somebody like, look, we can make money on this. So you're becoming an authority. It's not, you're not just waiting, how do I do this and what do I do next? It's like, be like Stephen Jobs. It's like, make up your own world, make up your own universe, and just let's do this now.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great idea.
Put my painting on a Rolls Royce. That's
yes.
Whatever,
well, to fill the world with art all over the place, and they are doing that, of course, on buildings and in windows on buildings, everywhere. I think it's wonderful. The more, the better, and creativity is one of the keys to our success in making it through everything that's taking place in the world, I believe. So I'm all for this. I think it's wonderful advice. I do have artist friends. I have a couple of people that I see are doing well marketing themselves probably could be even doing a little bit more with your suggestion, and then others who have tried little venues so far, whether that's having their artwork placed on mugs and towels, prints, etc., in some of the galleries where there are so many other artists already, places that are online, and then, they handle that movement of everything being ordered once you get placed on there. But I've watched people do that and not in their artwork be very good, but not start anything out of it. Nothing was happening. So,
Cindy, I need to do one thing. I have to can you give me 15 seconds real quick, please? I need to check on something. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay, no problem. So we'll let Lars take care of his business there and continue on here. Actually, we are going to be, when he returns, we will take a very quick commercial break and return back on then. But we'll let him take care of his business there. How exciting. Wonderful information. So for artists out there, I hope your ears are very open to understanding, anyone even with product ideas, to consider those long-term plans when you go in. Have a strong marketing plan. I'm definitely, as Mars is speaking, listening attentively and placing those considerations into my own work, venues and different projects coming up. And certainly it's a message even for myself to make sure there's a little bit stronger plan in the foundation. And I'm a firm believer in divine guidance, but I also believe in that left brain side. So this is perfect. And hello, have you returned?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. No problem at all. Well, what we will do on that note there, I just let the audience know, and hope there are very many people out there who are listening attentively, because I certainly believe that your advice is so very helpful for a couple of people that I know who have been trying very hard and who have excellent skills. So I love the idea of the broker. Very many people might not know, and understand how much potential is there. So let's take a quick actual 2.5 or almost 3-minute commercial break. And then when you come back, maybe we can go into anything else you wanted to finish up there. But we can start talking about the particular projects that you're working on. Okay?
Okay. All right, great. Thanks.
Okay. Be back in a bit.
Okay.
Feminine Frequency Radio Network hosts shows 7 days a week. Call in to listen live 929-477-1183 and dial 1 to connect to the studio to ask a question, or listen online via blogtalkradio.com/Feminine Frequency Radio Network. Organic Frequency Radio Show is 1.5 hour live chat with Stephanie and Oksana and their lovely guests about the nature of existence and holistic way of living here and now, and perhaps even after. Join us every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time. Call-in number to listen live is 929-477-1183, and to ask a question, press 1 to connect to the studio. Our guests share their stories and walking path of their healing, along with services that they have developed and packaged for the rest of the world to experience and benefit from. We're here to hold a space for an exchange of experiences for the purpose of evolvement and expansion of consciousness.
Hello and welcome. You are now entering the corridors of Twilight Epiphanies Talk Radio with your host, Cindy Magnuson, premiering Thursday evenings, 7 to 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on Feminine Frequency Radio Network, you are invited on a talk radio journey to the center of self. Join us as Cindy guides you, the listeners, in sensory and perception upgrades where revelations and golden epiphanies pierce the veils of illusion. Don't miss this opportunity for your next dose of Twilight Epiphanies. Okay, hello everyone and welcome back. So we are continuing our interview with my guest, Lars Fletcher of LarsVision, who is an illustrator and design consultant. And Lars, before we begin on some of your special projects, and you pretty much have opened us up to this concept that you talk about on your web pages. So on your website, your intro page, you have a picture of a hand in a handshake motion. And you talk a little bit about this. And I could hear, as you were talking, of course, the importance to you of bringing the right people together to do projects and how to look past just the initial surface, but into a little bit deeper. But you even extend that a little bit more into the concept, what you call the handshake. Can you tell us about that and what that means to you?
Yeah, in short, can you hear me?
Yep. Yes, we are
okay.
here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So in short, I just believe in working with people. I endeavor to work with people that I trust. Okay, because it's through my experience, I've just learned that that's the way to do it. It doesn't matter how much money they make. I've worked with people that, you know, they worth a lot of money, but they would still screw me, you know. So it doesn't matter how much money they have. That doesn't make them an honest person. So that's a lot of people, you know, they get confused with that. You know, you see. So becoming a judge of character, and however you do that, whether it's intuitive or you do some research into their background, and, you know, but you really want to work with people that are just good people. And that's the short answer to that. That solves a lot of problems. How you get there, it could be challenging because, you know, not everybody's revealing up front. We have situations where people, you know, they come on honest, and then later on you find out that there's some other issues that's going on. So if you see, when I started working, I wasn't even concerned about, you know, the person's integrity. You know, I'm like, my thing was, can I do this job and how much money can I get? You know, I wasn't concerned about their integrity, their character at all. I didn't even care. Didn't even come up. But then when I started getting robbed, you know, like people wouldn't pay me, you know, or they would escalate the job for the same fee. You know, I said, here's a T-shirt design, $300, and, you know, 20 designs later, you know, it's still the same $300, but they're still asking for revisions and stuff, and it's because they're not competent, and they're not willing to pay me more money, so they just don't really, they don't have the empathy, I guess, I don't know if that's the right word, but, you know, for whatever reasons, you know, you want to be compensated for your time. You know, I don't care what the reason is. If it's, so that's one of the things artists, that's the first thing you learn is like when you start digging into becoming a freelance artist, you start learning the dynamics of doing a project. And one of the biggest dynamics that you run across is people making changes. So you have to know how to deal with that. So I have a process that I do. I don't want to go into a big explanation of it, but basically there's a certain amount of changes that are free, but they're really just included in the cost because I know people are going to ask for at least 3 changes. It's rare that they don't ask for any. So I just build that into my initial quote. So when they start making changes, but what I say is that after a certain amount, because the changes are set up in a development queue. Like the first stage is the thumbnail sketch stage, and then the second stage is the comp stage, and the third stage is the color comp, high comp stage. So each queue is a step or a stage in the production process. And once we finish with a stage, we don't go back to a previous stage. So and I tell them that if you sign off on this, if we have to come back to this development stage, you're going to have to pay more money. And a lot of people don't understand it, so I make sure it's in writing. It's just too convoluted for them. If they're not if they're not seasoned, if they're not already familiar with the production process of doing artwork. So, and that's another big thing. You have people that are industry people. They will tell you how to do your project. They've been doing it for 20 years, and they'll tell you this is how we're going to do it. Step 1, step 2, step 3. We're going to pay you like this, blah blah blah. And they know everything. But if you go up to a person, if you're working with a person that say they're an entrepreneur and they want to develop a new product for a new product line, and they don't know the art process. Okay, so they're not. If you tell them, okay, it's going to be like $5,000 to do this label, and this is what we're going to do. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And anything beyond that is going to cost more money, they're not going to know what you're talking about. So you have to put it in writing at least so that when they do cross the line, you can say, well, it's right here in writing. It's not your fault that they don't understand it. You explain it to them. I take time, I explain it to them, and I just do it. And most people, I deal with people that they're good people. They don't understand it, but they pay me. So those are good people because they trust me. So I just wanted to say this one thing because it's kind of in the middle of all of this is that finding good people to work with. The other thing is how do you find work? So this is the key for me, and this is one of the things that I value more so than everything other than doing the artwork. This is the most important thing you can do is get people to know you, what you do. I mean, you need to have 1,000 people that have your name on a Rolodex or whatever they're calling that thing now in the cyberspace. They need to so it could take a year to build up relationships with people that are like art directors, they're book publishers, they're licensing people, whatever they are, but they're not artists. It's easy to make relationships with other artists. Everybody's your buddy. You know, artists are like your brother. You know, they love you, even though if they don't love you, they say they love you. But a book publisher is not going to say that. If they don't like you, they're going to tell you. And if they do like you, they're going to tell you. So if they don't like you, you can go make corrections. They'll be like, you know, we really don't need that kind of work right now. Your work is, you know, it's really not hitting it. You know, you need to hit a couple notes on there, you know, and you go back and you do some more work. So that's the kind of people you want to be around. That's the kind of people you want to be your friend. So if you have 1,000 people like that who actually can write a check for you and they know you, they know your phone number, you're going to get paid. So that's the most important thing that an artist can do for themselves. There's an old saying that said, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Actually, that saying is not the right way to say it. It's not what you know, it's who knows you. Because no matter who you know, that doesn't mean they know you. So, yeah. And so it's about developing relationships. I mean, just your community, if you're an artist or writer or whatever you do, you could be a truck driver. Your community is that world. Build your relationship in that world. But build it with people that can pull you up the ladder, not people that are on the same level. If they're artists, they can't pull you up. They can maybe help you with some connections and whatever, but those are not the people. They're not the people that are going to write a check. You know, they're not going to saturate your creativity. You know, so that's the way of the world. That's just, you know, we got to pollinate. You know, and that's how we do it in the work. You know, is that in the creative world, you need people that are going to, you know, help you cultivate your livelihood. So get a list of people, a type of people, whether they're art brokers or art reps, licensing brokers. They own a company where they need labels done. Get a printing company. The printing companies use artwork all the time. And you can call them up and they say, look, I'm available for freelance, you know, but try to develop a way to get acquainted with them without you. That's a calibration thing. It's kind of like dating, especially from the man's perspective. The man has to be more assertive. That's whatever that is. But in this case, women have to be assertive. They have to go in and shake hands and how you doing, and I want to get in your business, but not don't say it like that. You have to be tactful about it. You have to go in and you kind of seduction, but it's not. Seduction is not a bad word, But you want to have people like you. You want to have people say, I like her. I'm going to find a job for her. I'm going to make a job for her. If you could get to that level, man, you got it made, and make sure that they're good people. They're trustworthy, they're honest, and that'll tell itself. But usually you don't have to really think about it. You just have to be honest with your feelings. Our intuition, everybody has it. We deny when it doesn't work. It's because you're in denial about it.
Sure. Very well said. Yeah.
Yeah, and it takes practice too. It's like dreams. If you're into dreams, and most of the artists are going to be into their dreams. Like what are my dreams are about there? Wow, that was a good dream last night. So, but with your dreams, you actually want to wake up. If you have a dream, you want to try to write down as much as you can. And your dreams actually will become more, they'll say, oh, he's writing us down. Let's give him some more dreams, and it's the same thing, with your intuition. It's if you use your intuition, you're like, let me, like this person, I wonder about him, and you ask yourself questions. Is this person, what makes me think this person is not an honest person? Or what makes me think this person is an honest person? Then you're objective about it. Is that really honesty, or is that just the appearance of honesty? So your intuition is going to start providing some clues for you. It may, I'm not even going to go into that because, if you have your own way of dealing with intuition, but it comes to you and you have to be open to like receiving it. Because you ever been to that situation where something told me not to do that, and you did it, and it was wrong? That's your intuition.
You are speaking to Miss Intuition here. So yes, I have done actually. I'm a dream analyst. I've been doing dream analysis for 20 years, and I teach it. And also I teach intuition development. And you are spot on. Yes, you are spot on. And I can hear when you're talking that these points
we need to make a book on intuition. We need to get that book out there for kids.
Oh, you're on. You're on. And it is the refinement process, and you are actually in that level of very high concepts for how you're perceiving the intuition, because yes, a lot of people don't have that refinement of it, and they're not asking themselves to discern what they're feeling. You have to discern what you're feeling every single time. It has to be a combination of logic, self-understanding, and ask yourself, and especially because we're opening up to different interferences as well as influences from different dimensional realms. So we have to question everything. So very interesting. I could see how you have applied this in your, development of your artistic talents. I loved when you were saying that the discipline that you had to move yourself through to where you stopped the thoughts that were self-defeating and you just said, no, I can do this. That's critical. That was a very critical point to development that I do believe we can teach people to do. Because as artists have said before, we all do have our own special artistic ability. One, it's finding what we do, and then it's refining it and also not denying it through the misconceptions and negative thoughts that try to permeate in and tell us we can't. So I loved the way you developed this intensity in you that you can deliver. You can deliver fast, and you don't let the pressure of it take you out of the space. You almost come to life in that pressure because you get to utilize that super skill, So
Yeah.
I really, I loved you talking about it.
You were saying and I didn't want to veer too far off of the handshake thing. You know, I mean that is like the I'm gonna go back to what you were saying, but the confidence. No, let me finish on that thread that you were talking about there. That was one thing that I realized that was important to me, was to have the confidence in doing my work. Okay, so I don't know how I came up with this idea that when I was in high school, you know, I was doing good artwork and everything, and I was happy with it, but something said to me that I'm missing something. And basically, I cut to the chase, is that I have to draw something photographically realistic so that to the point where nobody can tell that it's a drawing. That was my choice. I'm not saying everybody has to do this, but what it was is that it was something for me that I had to do, that when I thought about it, I knew I could do it, but I hadn't done it, but I knew I had to do it so that I could see it. And it's a visual thing, so it's like, well, it kind of makes sense. It's visual, you have to see it. So you can't talk about it. And a lot of people, we have a tendency, we can talk about because we know we can do that. I know I can do that, you know, but you haven't really done it. And even though you can do it, it's going through the process is going to separate you, the wheat from the chaff, or it's going to make it real, basically. And once it's real, then that becomes a part of your character. It's not just an idea, and that makes you an artist. That's what makes you an artist. So that's why it's important to do the work and not just think, well, I'll get to it. So what it was is that I took a picture and I told myself, make it look like a photograph. And I was like 17 years old. I was in high school, and I remember, and when I did it, you know, I wasn't really blown away because I knew I could do it. But it resonated with me. It was like when somebody pins a medal on you to say you were this, you did it. You know, that was my own. It was a badge of honor for myself that you couldn't take away. You know, until I did it, it wasn't real. If somebody could take it away, you can't do it. Prove it to me. You know, and I'd be like, well, you know, I can't. I didn't do it yet. You know, so I don't think. You know, and so you don't want that. And so I go through stages in my life. Every now and then I look for a challenge. I say, I got to do something. I got to kick butt. You know, I taught myself airbrush, and I'm not touting the fact that I taught myself. It's just a fact of the condition, because I don't think that teaching yourself is something that is special. I don't think that it's special. I think teaching yourself is out of necessity, because you don't have access to something, then you better damn well teach yourself how to do it. That's all it really is. It doesn't make you a better person because you taught yourself. Because if I learn how to draw a car, if I go to Art Center, or if I learn how to teach myself, the consumer who's buying my artwork doesn't care how I learn how to do it. And actually, I don't care. I mean, it's just, I could say, well, I did all this work and everything. It was just more work for me. So cut to the chase about teaching myself. I gave myself this amazing project to teach myself. So what it was, I was struggling with airbrush. I was doing these really nice things with airbrush, but then I was always running into these little technical problems with the masking and the paint spilling and the overspray and all this kind of crap. So I said, man, I got to get this airbrush thing down, you know. And then so I took a picture of a $1 bill. A $1 bill. I blew it up on my projector. I traced it down on my illustration board. I knew how to draw, but you don't have to draw everything. You just draw what you need to draw. And I made a color version of a $1 bill, but it was airbrush. It was 3D. It was a beautiful piece. But here's the thing. I did that, and it was achievement. That was that badge of honor thing. But that night when I finished it, I had this dream that I went up into the clouds. You could say heaven, but it wasn't heaven. It was just up into the clouds, and it was above the clouds. And I was looking. It was like not a landscape, but you know how you can, when you're flying in a plane, you can see the same thing. You're looking across a cloudscape. But I'm looking across the cloudscape, and I'm seeing all these other people. That it's like I'm up here with them. You know?
Oh, okay.
And so it was kind of a metaphor. You could say it was a metaphor for heaven, but we're at a higher level, a level
Sure.
of height. And so it was just for me. It was a personal thing. But what I'm saying is that this stuff does not go wasted. When you push yourself, when you challenge yourself, it and you do it with sincerity. Don't expect anything. Don't say, I want to have that dream Lawrence had. No, it's not like that. Just do your thing, and your things will just. I hope that something kicks in for you, because that is what pushes you further. That's like, wow, I got that. Let me do this again. I'm like, let's do this. So that you get your own motivation. You become self-actualized, man, and nobody has to tell you like, wow, you're a good artist, but why don't you do that? And I love your work, and it's everybody. You don't need any more validation. I love validation. I love when people like my work, but I don't need it. Little kids need it, babies need it. But you're a grown adult. It's like you shouldn't need it. You should be on your own with your work. Really, I mean, it may sound like a lonely place to be, but it's not. It's not a lonely place to be. It's a very special place to be, because you have got this energy inside of you that you really don't even know what it is, but you're giving it a chance to work with it. You're giving yourself a chance to work with it, and that's something.
Yeah, no, I'm relating to everything you're saying. As an artist in my own work, I can relate to all of those levels, and definitely at the point where we simply understand the confidence in our own work. That is a beautiful space. I can say that when we're able to have a consistency and we can perform that same way all the time and not have any kind of a fear interfere with that, is that place above the clouds there, yes. So it's very nice. There's a little bit of something in the background there with you. It's not too loud, just so that you're aware.
My neighbor has a dog.
Oh,
and
awesome.
I can't shut him up.
Oh, no, it's okay. Sometimes if we identify it, it's just a little bit nicer to know what it is. And so we'll say, hello, little puppy dog. Nice to have you in the background. That's good, just so that you're aware. But yes, so I can relate to that consistency feeling, and then that calm confidence that, it's wonderful. You have like I said, a very strong desire within you already.
Yeah, you could take it, and you could take it as you're doing it. I mean, you would take it in small steps. Like, you could say, well, I'm going to do this. I want to do like this massive, gigantic illustration that would normally take like 30 days or a year or whatever. No, don't do that. Just challenge yourself and say, what can I do over the next 2 days that would be challenging to me? And you already know what it is. So I mean, if you're already doing your thing, you already know where you should challenge, because it is your weakest. It's your weakest point. It's the thing that's bugging you right now. It's like, man, I really need to do that. I really need to learn how to watercolor. I really want to watercolor. Those are the goalposts. Don't deny them. Just do them. Get them done. And enjoy them. Don't be angst about it. Like, I got to get this done and get it out of the way. No, it's not like that. Fall in love with it. Enjoy the process. Like, I'm gonna do this watercolor thing. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna get me some tea. Burn some incense and just kick back. But I am going to knock this out of the park. So. So learning is a funny thing, because learning the more, I think for me, the more you try to force it, the harder it is to learn. You have to allow the learning process to happen. You have to put yourself in a space where the learning can flow through you. Like, I want to learn programming. I will turn off everything. I'll get a candle and sit back, and I'll put the book in front of me. I won't even touch it until I'm ready, and then I'll tell myself I want to learn like one function. I'm not going to learn the whole book. I just want to learn how to make a timer. And when I'm done, I'll put it down. But then I open myself up to that, and then the other level of your being, is in the process with you. It's enjoying it. It's helping you. It's like, okay, it's so. I don't want to get into the too esoteric because I don't really know how the mind works, but I think that it's there's a way to get cooperation with your mind, and it's about leaving the space open for something to like, okay, hey, we're going to learn this, man. Let's get this, let's do this, let's have fun with this, and you kind of prep yourself, you get ready for it, and then you dive in, and to me it works like that. It works like if I give myself 5 minutes or 15 minutes of meditation, depending on how big the project is, when I go in there, the process becomes more enjoyable, more effortless, and I get surprises like, wow, I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah.
So
you've taken yourself, out of that binary thought pattern that it's this way or that way, which we all are taking ourselves out of that programming. Exactly. And you don't have, in my opinion, and having studied for 20 years already, a lot of mega spiritual concepts and such, you have a very beautiful way of expressing what esotericism is, and in your everyday experiences, and I love them being explained that way. That's the raw process of it, and you're observing the raw process. So you have an acute observation level, and then you have a very nice way of expressing what you've observed. That's a beautiful way to teach others. I love to teach through examples like that. And that is spirituality. That's the raw, real spirituality that we put sometimes a little bit too fanciful of words on and get kind of stuck in our mind too much. But to bring us into that raw process that happens, let go.
Well, yeah,
go on.
Yeah, I just realized something, over the past few years, because I got involved with some really, heavy hitters into the spiritual reality. I think Seven Bowmar and people like that they really, bring you into a higher dimension of thinking about the esoteric thing, and I realized something about that level. But what happened was with me is I realized to myself that I learn better when I learn in small chunks. And also when I learn the fundamentals before I start trying to learn the more sophisticated aspects of things. It's like, learn how to do addition and subtraction before you start learning to do multiplication and division. It sounds like it makes sense, but believe me, if you don't know what you're doing and you throw if you put something out there, say, hey kid, you need to learn your math, and he goes to the library and starts looking for math books, he's going to pick up books on calculus and trigonometry, and he's not going to know what to do. So, you have to learn the foundation of whatever you're learning. So that is when I started learning about the esoteric knowledge and these kinds of things, it happened. This, I'm going to tell you specifically because we were going to talk about this tonight anyway with the chakras. We can lead into this now if you want to.
Sure.
The way I learned about the chakras was there's a bookstore in Los Angeles. It used to be, there used to be a really good bookstore in Los Angeles called the Boda Tree, and it had all these books on esoteric knowledge and spirituality and everything. I think they're actually reopening again. They got closed down because of all these online bookstores and everything, but I think people started complaining and said, man, you got to open up your bookstore back up.
Oh, so anyway, nice.
Yeah. So I used to go there, I would say on average like twice every 2 months, okay, on average. So, but anyway, I picked up this book on beginning chakras, and this book looked like it was written to 5-year-olds. And I read the book. It took me like 2 or 3 days to read the book. And as I was reading the book, I was processing it. I mean, I would take like 5 minutes and just go through the chakra that it was talking about and address it. I said, what's going on here? And so I was working it. I was putting the work in while I was reading it. But it was so basic. And now let me back up. When I was going to this book, The Boda Tree, I would see other books on the chakras, and I would try to what's going on here, man? I didn't know anything about this stuff. I mean, I knew how to meditate and I knew a bunch of stuff. I didn't know anything about chakras. So, and I had these books they were like as thick as a Yellow Pages phone book. I mean, I'm like, what the heck is all? Come on, it can't be that complicated, So, and those are the books that are the higher levels. Yeah, there's stuff there, but if you can't do the math, if you can't do the arithmetic, you're not going to be able to do the calculus. Okay, so I got this book of beginning chakras, and I got the basics down, and that would set me off. And so I have a rudimentary understanding of the chakras, and they do work. They work for me. I can tell you exactly how it works. If you want, I can do it, but that's actually another story. It's another line of thought. But I will tell you that it worked for me, and it worked for me in almost in a life-saving manner, because I was struggling with some things. I had to deal with negotiating and making money, and people were really taking advantage of me money-wise. I was stressing out. I was having tax problems, and then when I went through the chakra, I had to address my root chakra. Mm-hmm. That's what I figured it out, man. I said, man, I'm all up here in heaven with God, and I'm loving people, and I'm creative, but I'm not doing anything down here on planet Earth. With being able to put people in check and tell them to shut up and get out of my face with that nonsense, and however you want to say it,
Exactly, but it's a real aspect, yeah.
Yeah. I would be easily intimidated. I would feel, people would run a game on me, like to make me feel sorry for them. Okay, well, I'll give you a price break. I'm losing money, but that's just a game. And so when I went through the root chakra, it actually brought me to another place where I started to address all of these issues, like almost like gangbusters. I mean, I went out. Yeah, I don't want to go into the details. Let's call me back later on another show, and we can talk about that. But
sure,
I got that. It helped me out. The chakras. When I saw what this was doing, I said, this stuff is real. So then I started looking at how to do it. Because I went through one exercise, and that was like a life-saving exercise. And then I said, well, wait a minute. Now let me use this. Let me incorporate this into my being. And so that's, I've been working on that, dealing with other growth, scenarios, because, growth is never ending. But the thing is, I think when you grow in any direction, it actually expands your horizon, and now you see more that you need to do, but it's actually it elevates you. So it can seem like it's. Let me put this the right way. Let me be succinct about this. When you grow, it wakes you up to certain things that you may not really like what you see. You say, "Wow, it's like that." It's like that with the Matrix, people, and we got these kinds of problems with education, and man, this is really so. But what it does, that it brings you into a reality that says, but just deal with it now. Come on, it's nothing different. You're just dealing with things. Your character is elevated, so you need to operate at that level of your character. And so that's what I didn't understand. So I had to bring my whole character up to the level of my awareness. And that's when you start dealing with detoxing, cleaning your body out, changing your language, your verbal language, dealing with people, so it's not just learning one thing. I learned how to negotiate. No, dude, you learn too much stuff now. Come on, you got to be like changing things. This is what you look what you can do. Creatively, you could, like you and I, we can make this book on chakras for kids or whatever. And so that's another opportunity. So you could look at it like opportunity. But I just want to say that when we go to these others, I'm pretty sure anybody that has gone through a growth process, you start to see, like you could see where you almost have to take like more responsibility now. Mm-hmm. But you want to be able to change I think the difficult thing is that more responsibility doesn't mean more pain. It doesn't mean more work. It doesn't mean more anything. It just means better, different higher, better, or more responsibilities that actually have more value. That's the word.
Yeah.
More value.
Yeah.
More value. That's what it does. It takes you a place where you want to operate at a level where you're operating with more value, bringing more value, working with more value. I think that's what I was trying to say. So, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So apply. Yeah. And of course, we're aware that sometimes, as you were saying earlier, people may just think they can do something and they talk about it as opposed to truly doing it. And so, yeah, applying everything that you know into your work, yes, brings that responsibility. The word that comes to mind is appropriate reaction. So we're taking appropriate action in anything that we're engaging in. And that, the space you talked about earlier in regards to opening up and allowing what you said, the surprises to come in. That's so important, key. That is, where we have to toss out everything that we've learned already when we first come in and just be open to any possibility to bring that uniqueness in. We could say it's that divine inspiration, that higher aspect of ourselves being able to come in and put its little, finishing touch on something. And the surprises, and so true, I really want to emphasize surprises right now and not go off topic with it, but the surprises, whether it's in artwork, whether it's in our artist expression of whatever we're bringing to the world for our creation here, is so important for us to break away from preconceived notions of the past, how it happened in the past. So to let go of any, thoughts about how something went some other time and just let that new creation come in. Because I'm seeing that take place in even interactions with others. And even though it looks like it's going to be some kind of a challenging space, if I just hang in there with reminding myself, like you said, with that 15-minute meditation, go in with a calm, frame of mind, a calm heart, and allow something new to happen. I've had two incidences recently where my head just turned and I went, did that just happen? That turned out good here.
Yeah.
So, it's like breaking out of old patterns. And I think these new creative processes are, have done that open door to really come in and move people, into where they belong with others, what works best for them. So you had talked about that you are working on this chakra program. That sounds so very exciting. And then you said another project is to do interactive books. Is that the same thing or something a little bit different?
No, it's different. I'm working on a project that I can't talk too much about. I mean, I can, but I don't want to because
Sure.
It's my pet project, so to speak. And so I don't want to divulge too much information. Somebody might take the idea and run with it before I get a chance to, basically. So
sure.
But I'm going to be launching a Kickstarter, not a Kickstarter, but a Patreon. They don't call it a campaign; it's more like a membership, and I'll be launching it on there. But it is a picture book, and it will be. I will be going through the process of how I'm making it. I'll be explaining like how I'm using different tools. So if a person is an artist, if they're trying to learn about different things, or if they're a new artist trying to see how, professional artists work, or they just want to see, just for the fun of it, to see how artists work, it's like I'll be showing my process. I'll be uploading images. I'll be uploading images that will be basically collectibles. Like when I finish the illustration, I'm going to be providing this exclusively to members. Now, the Patreon is a paid membership, But when you go to the Patreon website, you'll see what it is. And I don't want to explain it here because I'm not really trying to sell it here, but I'm just letting you know what I'm doing. But I will be doing that, and then from that content, I'll be making interactive content that will initially start on the iPhone. I mean, not the iPhone, but the iPad. It'll be available for the iPhone, but that's not the format. The iPhone is just too small. These want to be large pictures, and they need to be seen on a larger screen. So that is the one project that I'm doing. The app that I'm doing for the chakra balancing is kind of a fun project that I'm doing. I don't have a timeline for that. But what I did want to talk about related to the chakras is just kind of open up the creative thing with people that are out there. They're looking at creativity, and they're also, trying to see what's going on, or they're already involved with the esoteric knowledge or the chakras or whatever. And I just think that they, if you're interested in that, this might be interesting to you. That looking at artwork, the drawing process, the creative process, how do they relate to the chakras? How do they relate to balancing the chakras or expanding the chakras, or what you call activating the chakras? If you have dormant chakras, or if your chakras are weak or whatever. So if you know anything about the chakras, they are energy centers through your body. And I don't want to go into because I'm not a chakra expert. I'm just kind of like bouncing off my own experience and my own experimentation. Is that if you're an artist, take a look at the chakra model and look at the different dynamics of it. Like if you look at the colors, right? You can kind of infer, like how can you use your artwork to develop products or imagery that have value, real value to that subject matter of the chakras. This is something you can experiment with or research on or whatever, but it's there. And the reason why I'm saying it is because I've had real evidence that really worked for me. So, and I'm just sharing it because it's open source. Anybody can do it, and it might be something that you discover something that nobody else has ever discovered. Okay, but so you just have the color aspect. That's just one thing. Then you have one chakra that has, I think it's called the Anja chakra, and it has a what's called a food type. Okay, but the Anja chakra, it doesn't have a food type. Actually, it has an aspect. Aspect is beauty. So when you're looking at beauty or things that you infer as being beautiful, maybe there are food. Maybe you look at an apple and you say, wow, that apple's beautiful. You didn't say it looked like it tastes good. You didn't say it looked like it was expensive. You didn't say it looked like it was nutritional. You said it was beautiful. Mm-hmm. That's an energy. When you feel that energy, that chakra is being activated at that time. You say, wow. When you get that wow, that chakra is blooming. Okay. There's no limit to the bloom, but at that level, that's blooming. So now how can you take that idea of beauty and parse that into a format that becomes a part of your expression, which is another chakra, which is called the Vishuddha chakra. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce the name. It's the fifth chakra. It's the blue chakra.
Yep,
and
there you go.
It is the expression chakra. It allows you to express. So now you're already dovetailing two chakras into each other. Come on. This energy of expression and beauty and expression, they're feeding each other. They're nurturing. They're building. You are actually taking something out of nothing and creating energy in your body that you can turn out and share it with people that activates their energy, that makes their life better, that it go, it's, come on. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I'm hearing you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these are just visual aspects. And you have the second chakra. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name, but it is an orange color, and you have creativity. So, and within that chakra, you have this thing called joy. You have this thing called pleasure. You have this thing called sexuality. So you're taking this chakra and you like what does your creativity feel like? So when I'm like if I'm sitting down at a canvas, and I'm saying like I start drawing something. I'm drawing let's say I'm drawing an apple, just an apple, and then something happens and it was like I drew this line out too far, but it looks like a necklace. I'm saying, wow, let me just make that a necklace.
Mm-hmm.
That's your creativity. It's your creativity. That's like, you're creating something that's never been seen before. And now you make it beautiful. And you're doing an expression of it. You're saying, let's push it further. Let's make it, into something that could be, that somebody would hang it on put it on their wall. Like, let's make it like 8 feet by 8 feet large. So you got all these dynamics in creativity that when you consciously, interface them or somehow, I'm just going to say interface them with the chakras. Look for the chakras that can help you, activate your It's just like you're going back and forth like a palette. You're using your chakras like a palette. You're saying, let's pull the paint from the 5th chakra. Let's pull the joy. Let's pull that and push that into your canvas. You do it consciously, and see that's conscientiousness. You're being aware of how you're doing, and this is not the end of the doorway. This is opening the door to other dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is the beginning. Okay. So and I don't want to say anything else because I think it's more fun if you explore it yourself and have your own discoveries. But I came on tonight. I wanted to share my journey, and so that's why. And again, I'm not an expert on the chakras, but this is from the heart.
Yeah.
And, so you don't have to. I don't have any ulterior motives. I'm not trying to sell anything. So you can do your research and find your own truth in it. You may come away with nothing. You may do so. Yeah, this is good research, but I don't really want to deal with it. Whatever. I'm not saying that nothing that you're like you have to do it. Like, well, where said you have to? No, I didn't say you have to.
I think you opened up so much more understanding. Let's say if I was observing something, for instance, my grandchildren come over and they paint here all the time, and observing their processes, I see sometimes something has come to them. And I had a middle granddaughter. I'm looking at a painting that she drew here. Well, she painted it, and the process of her painting it, she was determined all day long, Nana, I already know what I want to paint for you. So it's all black background. It is one dandelion that has already gone all to seeds. And then, so it's a green stem and the white head of the dandelion. And then 6 seeds are taking off in the air. And it came to her. Wow. It was so symbolic for the process of seeding and the 6. And 6, of course, in numerology is love.
That's you. You're that dandelion. Those seeds are people like me. You just bring us into the flower and we float out into space and we pollinate the world. That's what that is.
Well, thank you. As part of my little journey here, something I hadn't expected to be, that the girls sort of rallied me in here to do a show in their network, and once I started, I found that a lot of what I've studied over 20 years helps me to initiate this process of meeting people, and I am enjoying it so much because of just that little spark, as I was saying about my brief interactions with you online. There was feeling for me, so I work deep in empathy, but I felt something. And then to hear you explore on the intensity level just says, you see, that your intuition was right there with that. And I do tend to follow those feelings again, I also put them up against, my discernment. And that's kind of a specific part of my work. I'm still discerning, but I'm in awe. And thank you for what you received as you expressed that, because I had a feeling, how, what frame of receiving she was in. And I will say that, I've had, maybe a granddaughter when she's in another granddaughter and she's kind of in a lesser space of feeling about herself, give me a piece of artwork, and I can feel her strain in there. I can feel her pain in there. And you are adding on layers for me to also observe, from a different approach, like how I could even approach that, with different venues. And she likes artwork, but, bringing certain colors in, and how I might be able to assist her with the pain she was feeling at some certain point, So, it expanded how, I feel like I'll be looking at, art pieces and seeing a little bit deeper in. So thank you for that. Well, we are coming down to about 9 minutes here. And so that you're aware, at the 9-minute mark, when it's done, Blog Talk will probably make a loud beeping noise, but we will still be able to continue and finish if you're finishing up. But if you can, one, I think you have left us with beautiful parting words of how to have us open up our expression, our artistic abilities, each of us individually, and as well even take that logical part of how to market ourselves appropriately and work through, these new spaces. The best of luck to you on your Patreon. That sounds like an incredible experience for artists to learn from someone with your incredible amount of experience already. So I'm wishing you all the best on that. I feel great success in that. And if you will just give the audience then your contact information, and we'll be saying goodbye here then.
Okay. So you can reach me at my email, which is LarsVMD@mac.com. That's LARS, V as in Victor, M as in Michael, D as in David, at Mac, MAC.com. LarsVMD@mac.com. So, and my website, I think you may have my website, I don't know, but it is LarsVision.com. And, from there, if you Google LarsVision on YouTube, it'll come up. I'm still developing some linkages to that. So, but I think it'll come up in a search. And when I get my Patreon, you just have to, if you want to stay in touch with me, if you link to me, if you send me an email, I will put you in my database, and I will shoot out an email to you about my Patreon page. And if you want to check that out when that's ready, or if you just want to contact me and ask questions, I love to share, obviously. And I'll, give you my opinion or some guidance, or we can just chat about creativity, which is my favorite subject. I'm open to that. Developing new friendships and, cultivating some new friendships. Yeah.
Wonderful. And then, your website has all of the different services on there that you do, and everything explained on there. And as well, they can also friend you on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. I have I have like a personal Facebook page that I'm migrating all of my creative stuff over to a new Facebook page. So if you go to Facebook, and you would want to go to LarsVision. I think the name is Rain, like R-E. Did I send that to you? Let me
I did. Yeah, it would in the
Rain
description.
2020.
2020 rain. So yeah, it's www.facebook.com/2020 rain, spelled REIGN.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have that in the description. Yeah, for the if anybody's listening to this via their computer, and maybe it even comes up on the phone. I'm not actually sure. Obviously it doesn't come up if you call in, but if you go to the link via your phone, you'll see the description and your information is there. But this way then, to anyone who's just listening can write that down and look that up for you. Okay.
Yeah, and with my phone, my phone number is probably available, but the thing is that there are so many telemarketers out there, and I don't have a way to block them. I actually avoid answering my phone. So, if you want to contact me, it's best to contact me through my email, and then we can do or if you leave a message, on my phone, and just let me know that you're an artist, or you want to know more about art, or you're looking for an artist or whatever. But definitely leave a message. Yeah. And as far as my Facebook, you could go to my either Facebook page, but just know that I'm going to be migrating everything over to LarsVision, because it's just too much personal stuff on my personal family stuff that I really don't want to. I'm kind of curating,
sure.
separating my personal life from my artistic life. So.
Sure.
But just be aware that I'm in the process of doing that now. But come on over, say hi, and just say hi, and we could, if you have artwork you want me to look at and give a comment on or critique or whatever, just connect. Yeah.
Oh, that's very nice. Well, thank you so much. Very much appreciate.
Cindy, I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity to meet new people. This is great,
Yes,
I'm pretty sure we got 20,000 people out there listening to me right now. Hello, everybody.
Well, I'm actually very pleasantly surprised at that I've got a fair amount of initial listens beginning, and then after it gets put into a YouTube, it's moving. And
I get it. Yeah.
And there's, for me, it's the quality that's here, and I'm so appreciating the new friends and the quality experiences. It's very meaningful to me. So I'm very much enjoying learning, meeting new people, and it's a wonderful, wonderful feel. So I'm going to keep going at it.
I have more to share. So whenever you want to do it again, please give me a call. We can go into any one of those little, trajectories that we talked about with the chakras, or, I could talk about that for a whole 2 hours, if you want to. So whenever you're ready, just let me know.
Yes, indeed.
And it's all through creativity. It's all still about creativity. So, yeah.
You're in. For sure.
All right.
Absolutely.
And we're gonna get to work on that children's book too. So. All right.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, I definitely I have had some interesting information coming to me that said, you're going to be connected to some very interesting people very soon. So I believe you. I absolutely believe you. I have some really nice concepts that I have been working on for a while.
I'm open to it. I'm energized by it. So there's a saying that I have that this is how you make a decision. It's 3 steps. Is it feasible? Is it viable? And are you passionate about it? So if it's feasible, it's something that you can do. You may need to even learn. If you have to go to school, you could be a doctor. You want to go to school for 6 to 8 years, you can do that. So you can do it. It's doable. But, is it feasible? That means you can do it. Is it viable? That means that when you do it, is it worthwhile doing it? Are you going to help people, or are you going to get paid, or is it going to be built, or is it going to just fall flat on its face? So if you see it, you know what? This is a good idea. This will work. This will help a lot of people. Then it's viable. So you got feasible, viable, and are you passionate about it? And I don't have to explain that one, but if you got those three things, then you'd be making a mistake not to do it. You know, I'm just being a little bit hyperbolic here, but, you know, think about it.
No, it's very true. You know, a lot of the work that I do when clients come to see me is uniting them again with, you know, the passion or some feeling that's, you know, that they haven't felt in a while, even if it's just a passion to get back to their health again. And once that passion is ignited and you find it and it's that feeling about it, I 100% believe that there's no stopping it. So it's just, and when it hits you and you absolutely know. So thank you for that further clarity. And I'm looking forward to a second show indeed. So
okay.
Everyone in the audience there, I'm going to say goodbye also to all of you out there listening, and I will be announcing next week's show during the week. So I wish you all well. Have a beautiful, blessed week. We will talk to you then. And thank you so much, Lars, and we will see you next time then. Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.